Tonight at 11, a new police chief has been named for Winston-Salem. We had a chance to sit down with the new top cop on how he plans to lead the department. Plus, police brutality under the microscope after the tragic death of Tyree Nichols. The renewed calls for police reform in the U.S. And food insecurities on the rise in the Triad. The steps being taken now to provide aid to the community.
Covering the Triad and beyond. This is ABC 45 News at 11.
Good evening to you. It's great to have you with us. I'm Camilla Rambaldi. We will get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go ahead and check in with Jonathan for your no-wait weather and a nice break from that rain. But that could change later this week.
Oh, we have more of that rain on the way, unfortunately, and no snow in the forecast. We have gone now, I think, about 366 days since the last time that we saw any measurable snow. Outside tonight, we've got some clouds increasing. Pretty quiet. We've got some light rain showers down towards the south. In and around the Triad, temperatures are dropping into the mid and upper 40s right now. Fog, not a big concern right now, but we're already starting to see some areas just outside some of the major cities seeing some of that fog developing, and I do expect to see widespread dense fog by tomorrow morning. And then throughout the day tomorrow, we're going to have clouds, some mist and drizzle with areas of fog. Then comes the rain, and then after that comes the cold air. Much more on that forecast for you here in just a few minutes.
Jonathan, thank you. One of Winston-Salem's own chosen to lead the police department. He's served for 25 years. ABC 45's Justin Berger has more after sitting down with Winston-Salem's new top cop.
Yeah, Camilla, an exciting day for 48-year-old William Penn Jr., appointed chief of police of the Winston-Salem Police Department. But that excitement mixed with nervousness, knowing that there is a lot of work to get done. A native of Winston-Salem, graduate of UNC Greensboro and Winston-Salem State University, an area public servant for 25 years, Penn knows the struggles facing his city. He says dealing with violent crime and engaging with the community are at the top of his to-do list. How important is that to you, getting involved in young people's lives, kind of diverting them away from criminal activity at a young age?
It's important enough that when I'm off work, that's what I do.
Penn is an assistant scoutmaster and member of the Winston-Salem Sportsman Club.
Chief Thompson was a big proponent of community policing. That's a philosophy of the agency. I want to take that to the next level. We want to ensure that our community policing activities are attacking drivers of crime.
Penn says he'll also further Thompson's initiative of using more technology, specifically dealing with more minor crimes so officers have more time to investigate violent crime, having already dealt with 8 homicides this calendar year.
We can arrest all we want, and if the drivers of crime aren't being taken care of, it's just like a machine pushing more out of it.
And in the wake of body cam footage being released in the brutal in-custody beating of Tyree Nichols, Penn assuring community members that was not policing.
I and the men and women of the Winston-Salem Police Department were repulsed by the video. That's not who we are. That's not what policing is about. So that wasn't policing.
The Winston-Salem Police Department, like many others dealing with staffing shortages, currently down 140 sworn positions. Penn saying recruitment and retention are a crucial part of his plan. Reporting in Winston-Salem, Justin Berger, ABC 45 News.
One man is dead and 2 others are in critical condition after a shooting on Liberty Street yesterday. Winston-Salem police say an argument that started inside of an event venue continued outside, and that's when police say the shots rang out. Police say Darrell Rice Jr. was pronounced dead on the scene. A 17-year-old and another man identified as Rodney Lindsay Jr. were both hospitalized. They are listed in critical condition. The investigation is ongoing. One person is dead and several others are in the hospital after a shooting at Southside Johnny's in Greensboro. It happened early yesterday morning on West Market Street. Police say one of the victims, identified as Cedric Monroe, has died. No arrests have been made. The investigation is ongoing. Greensboro police are investigating a deadly shooting from Saturday. It happened on Lynnhaven Road around 4 in the morning. The victim has been identified as KABB Maynard. The investigation is ongoing. Greensboro police say they are searching for 2 robbery suspects tonight. The Sonic on Westgate City Boulevard was robbed early Sunday morning. Police describing the suspects as 2 men who were both wearing ski masks. One of them had a handgun. Anyone with information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 336-373-1000. The debate over police accountability and reform once again front and center after the brutal killing of Tyre Nichols by 5 Memphis police officers. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins has more and a warning: some of the video in this story may be disturbing.
The horrific death of Tyre Nichols in Memphis, a devastating reminder Americans have yet to find an answer to ending police brutality. Justice for Tyre Nichols! Many pointing the finger at systemic racism.
Race is still on the table. When a culture of policing historically has treated those from different groups differently, even when the individuals are from that same group.
But Heather McDonald with the Manhattan Institute studies these violent police deaths. She argues the Nichols video shows an extreme lack of skill by the officers to handle these situations.
The takeaway is that officer training is abysmal. This was an absolute chaotic scene with officers working at cross purposes. They had no tactical control. They had no coordination. They were not in control of their emotions.
McDonald says police need increased training for things like de-escalation. What they don't need, according to McDonald, are more diversity courses.
Any emphasis on implicit bias training is a complete waste of time. I've witnessed these trainings. They're an insult to officers. That is not what officers need.
Demands to defund the police are quieter than they were in 2020. Police reform, however, remaining hot as ever, as articulated over the weekend by former Orlando Police Chief and Congresswoman Val Demings.
It really starts with hiring, making sure that we are bringing in the right men and women to do the job. When they're in training, making sure that we have the right field training officers who we know set the standard for what's acceptable and unacceptable on the street.
Meanwhile, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are under increasing pressure to come up with a national legislative response. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
2 more Memphis police officers have been relieved of their duty in connection to Tyre Nichols. Those officers have not been identified. The other 5 officers involved were fired on January 20th after they violated department policy on use of force and now face second-degree murder charges. The county DA says they are not stopping there.
To the people who arrived afterwards from the Memphis Police Department and the Sheriff's Department and the Fire Department, to people who were, filing paperwork afterwards. We're looking at everybody.
Also, earlier today, the Memphis Fire Department announcing 2 EMTs and a fire lieutenant were fired for failing to conduct an adequate patient assessment when they arrived on scene. Still ahead, coping with violent videos following the arrest of Tyre Nichols, how to understand what you're feeling, and how to start the conversation with your children.
You're watching ABC 45 News at 11.
Making headlines, actress Lisa Loring, best known for playing the original Wednesday in the Addams Family series, has died at the age of 64. She had a stroke last week. Her family removed life support on Saturday. Loring was just 6 years old when she portrayed the iconic death-obsessed pigtail-wearing Wednesday in the Addams Family sitcom. In 1977, Loring reprised her role as Wednesday Sr. in the television film Halloween with the New Addams Family. The dynamic actress, best known for playing the bubbly Shirley Feeney in the beloved sitcom Laverne and Shirley, has died. Cindy Williams died after a brief illness, according to her family. Williams' role, a spin-off of Happy Days, have endeared her to millions and made her a household name. Laverne and Shirley ran for eight seasons from 1976 to 1983. Williams leaves behind an ex-husband, a son, daughter, and a goddaughter. She was 75 years old. Novant Health has officially launched Novant Health Nourishes, a campaign designed to help those who are facing food insecurity. ABC 45's Michaela Leggett reports.
With the recent cost of inflation, many people across the United States are experiencing food insecurities. Senior Vice President of Consumer Engagement, Dr. Jerome Williams of Novant Health, says their mission is to improve the health of those who are facing food insecurities.
Our mission is to improve the health of communities one person at a time, and we understand that we can't do that only within the four walls of our clinic or the four walls of the hospital.
Dr. Williams says the amount of people who say they are food insecure is alarming.
So on average, we identified approximately 3,800 patients a month as being food insecure, anywhere between 3,800 and 4,000 patients a month. Now, we know across North Carolina, about 14% of the population is food insecure.
Dr. Williams says food insecurity can lead to many health problems.
Through data, through multiple sources, that food insecurity can lead to birth defects, diabetes, anemia, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and the list goes on and on and on.
In order to become eligible to get food from the pantry, there are a series of questions you must answer.
We asked every patient that touched our system in the ambulatory setting in our clinics a couple of questions. And via those two questions, we were able to determine if an individual is food insecure or not.
Dr. Williams says he hopes this program makes patients feel cared for.
So I think it makes folks understand that we care about them. It requires a level of trust that we have spent a lot of time developing across our community.
Novant Health Nourishes has developed partnerships with Second Harvest and Food Line to help those in need. Reporting in the Triad, Michaela Leggett, ABC 45 News.
Violent videos like the one of the arrest of Tyre Nichols are difficult to watch, but may also be hard to avoid. Mandy Gaither has more on how to cope with the feelings these types of videos may bring and how to talk to your children about it.
You don't have to physically witness violence to have a traumatic stress response from it.
Maybe you're having nightmares about it and it just keeps replaying in your head. You might also notice that you feel really edgy, you're irritable, you're kind of on edge and really heightened.
Licensed therapist Jody Baumstein says coping with the feelings violent videos can bring starts with talking about it with someone you trust.
We have a tendency to want to push things down and avoid, but we know that avoidance only fuels anxiety and actually makes it worse.
Baumstein says to face those feelings, but also listen to yourself, know your limits.
You know your past, you know your triggers, and that might mean that you do not watch the video.
And practice self-care. That could mean being active or taking some time for yourself, depending on what suits you.
There's no right or wrong here, but it's really about tuning in to what you need in that moment and taking care of yourself.
Baumstein says young children should not be exposed to violence, and it's important to listen to older children, have an open, honest conversation about what happened, and validate their feelings.
Providing them comfort, letting them know that they are safe in this moment, but not lying and saying that this will never happen again, because we can't say that with certainty.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The latest batch of the Twitter files detailing what some call digital McCarthyism. I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at what Twitter did and did not do after finding out American citizens were being labeled as Russian bots.
Well, dense fog is going to be expected overnight with more rain on the way, plus a big cold snap also headed our way. Your full forecast coming up. Well, we started out this morning with those temperatures down at about 40 degrees, 10 degrees above where we should be for this time of the year. And check out today's highs, 64. Well above normal for this time of the year, but nowhere near the record, and we're going to be seeing above normal temperatures again tomorrow. Now, from yesterday evening through this morning, we did have some rain out there, especially this morning. In fact, the past 24 hours, we've had about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain, and then that on top of what we saw yesterday afternoon, some areas that saw up to 1/2 to 1 inch of rain, just with some of the heavier rain overnight into early this morning. It was dry and sunny this afternoon, very spring-like. We've got rain on the way over the next several days. Now, tomorrow is not going to be a washout, but it is going to be very gloomy with some mist and drizzle. The best chance for rain Wednesday morning, and then again as we head into Thursday. And then we're watching a weak little system as we head into Sunday. Outside tonight, though, we've got mostly to partly clear skies across our area, some clouds increasing. Temperatures are dropping down into the 40s for the triad. We still have some 50s elsewhere, but you will see down towards the southwest. That's where we're seeing some of the rain showers right now. We're on the warm side of this system here, and that's why we're going to be dealing with rain. Though you take a look towards Texas, parts of Arkansas, up towards Missouri, you can see here the white and the pink. That is some freezing rain and some snow. There is a winter storm warning and a freeze storm warning in effect for areas off towards the west as well. Mid-40s though, waking up here locally. And again, cloudy skies. Watch out for some dense fog developing outside tomorrow morning. And then by around 10, 11 o'clock, we could have some scattered rain showers. It's going to be light. Not everyone's going to see it, and maybe some of that mist and drizzle. It's going to be fairly mild tomorrow with our winds still out of the south. That's actually helping to pump up a lot of the moisture at the surface, and that's why we're going to be dealing with some fog overnight. Futurecast showing you those scattered showers, but as we go through the afternoon, again, some passing showers here or there. It's overnight tomorrow night around 10, 11 o'clock that we start to see more heavy rain moving in here through early Wednesday morning. So that morning commute, drive a little bit slower and also have the umbrella and rain jackets handy. By the afternoon, we're just going to be cloudy on Wednesday before our next round comes in on Thursday. Highs tomorrow still above normal into the mid-50s for us, with a chance for some scattered rain showers. But check out Wednesday, we're going to be into the 40s, some of that colder air getting wedged in with morning rain. Storm system to the south was going to bring in more rain as we head into Thursday, a pretty good soaking. But the good news is we're going to be drying out as we head into Friday, into Saturday, and that's where we get some really cold air coming in. Some of the coldest temperatures we've really seen all winter long, or at least into January here for us. As this high wedges down that cold Arctic air, we're going to be watching some moisture returning with an area of low pressure just offshore. Now, this is earlier model runs today. If the cold air lingers long enough, we might have a little bit of a wintry mix changing over to a brief period of some freezing rain or snow, and then back over to rain Sunday morning. Right now, that's a 30 to 40% chance. It's very low. We have plenty of time to watch that. In the meantime, expect just kind of a soggy week for us. 40s for those afternoon highs, and then 20s for morning lows as we head into the weekend.
Jonathan, thank you. Did a well-regarded website wrongly suggest American citizens were Russian bots? That's a central question in the latest batch of the Twitter files released by the company's owner and CEO, Elon Musk, reported on the social media site. National correspondent Christine Frizzau breaks down the new findings.
Just a few months after the 2016 election, there was a major focus on Capitol Hill to better understand the involvement of Russia, with evidence showing a coordinated effort to use social media to try to control the narrative with an overarching mission of undermining democracy, as detailed by former FBI official Clint Watts.
Those accounts, some of which overtly support the Kremlin, promoted Russian foreign policy positions targeting key English-speaking audiences throughout Europe and North America.
His organization, the Alliance for Securing Democracy, tracks interference by authoritarian governments. One facet of that, a dashboard that said it had linked 600 Twitter accounts to Russian activities online. It's now at the center of the latest batch of the Twitter files, which showed top executives at Twitter skeptical, to say the least.
Former head of trust and safety Yael Roth in email said the dashboard falsely accuses a bunch of legitimate right-leaning accounts of being Russian bots. They include conservative podcaster Dennis Michael Lynch.
I don't have anybody in my family who's Russian. I've never been to Russia. Why was I listed on there? Why were other people who have no association with the Russians or China or anybody listed on that sort of thing? I mean, this is McCarthyism.
But in public, Twitter did very little to counteract the claims of the site, which within weeks led to dozens of news stories that followed. The Alliance for Securing Democracy disputes what it calls a mischaracterization, adding the analytic techniques used identified users as being part of a network that either promoted or engaged with Russian propaganda targeting American audiences. New Twitter owner Elon Musk has vowed to make changes at the site, with leaders in Congress meeting with him last week.
We talked about making sure Twitter is fair on all sides. He wants to have a level playing field for everybody to have a voice. He's really defending the First Amendment.
House Republicans, now in the majority, have vowed to make big tech oversight a top priority. Their first hearing on the matter is expected to look at the decision by Twitter to initially block the sharing of a New York Post story on Hunter Biden's laptop just weeks before the 2020 election. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
It's an important week for the Federal Reserve, as set to announce its next interest rate hike at the end of Wednesday. Major companies like McDonald's and Amazon report their latest earnings, seen as a gauge of how Americans are spending their money during this time of high inflation. National correspondent Atra El-Nashar reports from Washington.
The Federal Reserve facing a major test this week in its fight against inflation. Recent months bringing signs price increases are easing, but still uncomfortably high in unavoidable areas like food. Overall grocery prices up 11.8% from a year ago. Bakery products and dairy accounting for some of the biggest price hikes. And of course, eggs up almost 60% from a year ago, due to inflated operational costs and an avian flu devastating supply for farmers like Andrea Hancock in Ohio, who's unable to serve all of her customers.
And I just have to say, I'm sorry, I can put you on the wait list and I'll call you when we start getting eggs again.
The Fed's top priority is bringing inflation down to 2%, expected to be coupled with some sort of slowdown, potentially a recession.
Big banks are preparing. JP Morgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Bank of America putting aside nearly $3 billion collectively to cover potential loan losses.
Some firms preparing by cutting workers. Others still can't find enough workers, and it's hurting business. CVS and Walmart cutting pharmacy hours due to lack of staffing. Former Walmart CEO Bill Simon describes the macro headwinds.
We're stuck in this loop of, wage inflation, product inflation, cost inflation, and it's just that cycle keeps going.
Echoing the Fed, he says failing to bring inflation down this year will result in a world of hurt.
Because inflation hurts 100% of the population. A recession might hurt, 2 to 3% that have lost their job or GDP declines. We got to get inflation under control.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell says there's no painless way to do it, likely meaning interest rates stay higher for longer. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar reporting.
The Chiefs and the Eagles are headed to the Super Bowl after winning their Sunday games. You can hear all of that excitement as Chiefs fans watch the game on the big screen. They won the AFC Championship against the Bengals. And here you can see the Eagles fans celebrating on the streets after beating the 49ers after they clinched the NFC title. The Super Bowl is set for February 12th in Glendale, Arizona. The Eagles have opened as a 1.5-point favorite over the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57, according to FanDuel Sportsbook. Both teams have been in the big game recently. This is the Chiefs' third Super Bowl appearance since the 2019 season. They beat the 49ers in Super Bowl 54, but lost to the Buccaneers the next season. And the Eagles are back in the Super Bowl after they beat the New England Patriots 41-33 to win Super Bowl 52. Still ahead after the break, do you still need gift ideas for your partner this Valentine's Day? The top gifts couples are planning on giving each other this year.
Alrighty, welcome back. Getting a quick last look here at your forecast. We've got temperatures down into the mid and upper 40s right now. Pretty quiet, but watch out for some dense fog tomorrow morning. Some scattered light rain showers through the day. Better chance Wednesday morning. And then as we head towards Thursday, more rain on the way.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Valentine's Day is only a few weeks away, and here's what Americans are most likely to buy for their sweetheart. A National Retail Federation survey shows the top gift will be candy. Next on the list are greeting cards, flowers, an evening out, jewelry, gift cards, and even clothing. And among people who don't plan to celebrate Valentine's Day, about 28% will still mark the occasion in some way. That may include non-Valentine's gifts, treating themselves, or planning a get-together with family members or single friends. That will do it for us here at 11. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock. Have a great rest of your night and stay safe.